Now that we are back to democracy, there is freedom of speech, even the freedom to lie. If Professor Nwosu had the courage, I emphasize courage as is being suggested here, to announce the winner and damn the consequences. After all, he who is not ready to die for something will end up dying for nothing. We cannot distort history in this Senate. We must be seen to have sentiments that reflect the average feeling of the average Nigerian. Professor Nwosu, when it mattered most, his courage failed him. And when you give national honors and recognition, you do so for people who have shown courage, who have paid the supreme price, or who were ready to pay that price. My house to come to these chambers, I ask God to guide my thoughts, to give me the will to speak the truth, and to service my conscience. I have listened and I've read through this 2-page motion moved by a man I respect and I will always respect. But when it comes to facts, the written word, it will go into history. I want to be on record as saying the following. Paragraph 3 of this document, this motion, which says, quote, conscious of his courageous defense of the democratic electoral process during the 1993 presidential election that led to the famous June 12 slogan, which ultimately confirmed MKO Abiola as the winner of the election. This is manipulating and wrestling with the truth. June 12 became famous because Nigerians who voted and the elections results already announced, people were at liberty to do their calculation. But because the chief electoral officer failed to formally announce the figures and declare the winner, the Nigerian people on their own talk about, if you look at the media review, the man who is widely believed to have won the election, because the man who should have announced it failed to do so. The second paragraph, or the fourth paragraph, informed that he stood his ground during Nigeria electoral wishes and aspirations were realized, which culminated in June 12 being marked as authentic democratic day due to his unwavering stand as an umpire. Sir, again, this is not correct. President Muhammadu Buhari, to his credit, decided, and may God bless him for that, said what Nigerians already knew, but coming from a city head of state and president, that gave it the currency. He said everybody knew that MKO Abiola won June, election that was conducted on June 12th. Nigerians were really in pain because nobody is able to quote where Professor Nwosu announced the results. It is his failure to announce the result, whether under threat or other whatever forces that prevented him from so doing, that Nigerians were unable to say that he was declared the winner. In fact, I was active in that struggle. When we met with the late General Sani Abacha, he said the reason he decided to order the detention of MKO Abiola was that MKO Abiola proclaimed himself as the winner of the election and therefore as president. It was on that basis Abiola was arrested and he died in detention. If Professor Nwosu had the courage, I emphasize courage as is being suggested here, to announce the winner and damn the consequences. After all, he who is not ready to die for something will end up dying for nothing. We cannot distort history in this Senate. We must be seen to have sentiments that reflect the average feeling of the average Nigerian. Professor Nwosu, when it mattered most, his courage failed him. And when you give national honors and recognition, you do so for people who have shown courage, who have paid the supreme price, or who were ready to pay that price. Lastly, cognizance of the fact that Professor Nwosu laid a landmark foundation, blah, 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 blah. This is the reason it is even more painful that you allegedly have all this courage to conduct elections. I'm on record as saying that Professor Nwosu and President Babangida fooled 18 million Nigerians that voted. Nwosu is not on record before his death as admitting that before I die, let me confess that there was a winner.
You have 1 second, you have 2 seconds remaining.
Therefore, let me round up, Mr. President. I thank you for your this because this is very important. If you couldn't, this is my last point, sir. I appreciate. This is my last point. So I want my in-laws to understand. If he was afraid of the gun, because we are under dictatorship, some people might say, well, but there were Nigerians who were protesting under the gun without minding the consequences. After the end of Babangida's tenure, the death of Abiola, the birth of the new democracy that produced President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Obasanjo. Since then, I would have expected Nwosu to say, either on his birthday or on any special occasion, now that we are back to democracy, there is freedom of speech, even the freedom to lie. I would have expected Nwosu to be able to say, I could not declare these numbers.
Thank you.
Now, on my record, Abiola won this election, but I was not able to
Senator Osita,
he died without confession.
Thank you.
That he died without confession cannot be rewarded.
Thank you, Senator Osita.
He cannot be rewarded.
Senator Osita Ongu, you have the floor.
Represent Enugu.
And please, 2 minutes so that others will speak. 2 minutes.
Mr. President, I'll be faster. I want to actually remind us that whether we speak for or against, Humphrey Nwosu will be buried tomorrow. I also want to remind us that just recently, the former President Ibrahim Babangida held an event lately which everybody, even several people here attended, including the current president of the country. And everybody came up, because he's alive, to speak good of him. If Humphrey Nwosu was doing a colloquium today, Nigerians will still go the same way they lined up to speak good of IBB. And I also want to remind us that Humphrey Nwosu was the chairman during a military regime. There was no way he would have announced a result with a gun placed on his head. Mr. President, even anybody who wants to be Anthony, who wants to say I'm going to refer to Julius Caesar, French Roman countrymen have come to bury Caesar, not to praise him, which is what Senator Oshiomole can take up. You can just bury the dead if you don't want to praise him, and allow those who want to praise him to praise him. No matter how much we speak here today, it will not remove the fact that some of us see Humphrey Nwosu as a hero and needs to be immortalized. Mr. President, for the respect of the dead and for those who are mourning, who will bury this man tomorrow, I want to move, Mr. President, that we don't further debate this matter. We go to the question, so that we don't continue to open up several things. I so move. Thank you.
Any seconder?
Leave historians to write about Humphrey Nwosu. I don't want to express my own personal opinion, but I know that continuing with this debate will open up a lot of wounds. And it has the tendency of dividing the Senate along unusual line. I will therefore say that the prayers are there. We can straight away go into the prayer. And it is very necessary for us to save time. We are very close to 1 o'clock now, and today is the closing day. Yeah. And on the other paper, we have a lot of items to discuss. I will therefore seek your indulgence to stop the debate and allow us to move on.
Please, those in favor of the motion by the Deputy Majority Leader, please say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Senator Jimo Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, the Senate President. With just 2 minutes, which is what you allowed, Mr. Senate President, and I won't go beyond that. The motion brought by the doyen of the Senate, I can say, Senator Abaribe, is fantastic. But there are converging complexities, which have been detailed. Particulars of those converging complexities were detailed by Senator Oshiomole. We cannot operate within the rivers of complexities. Democracy, as beautiful as it is, has its own vulnerabilities. And it is vulnerability of democracy that is before us this morning. That the person away professor, learned professor, couldn't even have the courage to announce the result of that election. But like I said, I won't go to those narratives. But what I want to say, Mr. President, is that what do we say of Professor Jiga, who conducted an election from the main political party and changed to the opposition, which made President Tinubu to win the election, and President Jonathan leaving office. Jiga had the courage to say to Jonathan, you are not the winner of the election. So the winner of the election is President Bola Ahmed. President Buhari was the winner of the election. And that was changing political parties. Just a minute. Please, order. Yes.
Order, please.
Jiga said that President Buhari won the election from another party. So it was shift between PDP running government against an APC. And he had the courage to come out and do that. And he didn't die. Nothing happened. And we didn't name anything after him. We couldn't even make him a minister. Beyond that, it's not even in the Senate. I don't even know whether he got any national honor. Myself, I hold the national honor of Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFR, which is next to the Senate President's own of GCON. So I don't know what we are talking about. I wish Professor Nwosu a journey mercy to the external world, where he will rest in perfect peace. But this Senate should quickly run away from resolving converging complexities within the historical context of the Nigeria as a nation. Finally, Mr. Senate President, I urge you, because history will be here today, and you are the one presiding. And Nigeria will ask you, is it true within your conscience that we should be naming a whole INEC, not even national honor post-mortem? We should read the whole INEC after one of his chairman who annoyed the election of June 12, who couldn't even come up with a result until President Babangida came out to say Abiola won the election and he regretted his action. Professor Nwosu couldn't even make
Buhari, not Babangida, Buhari.
No, Babangida came.
Okay, Buhari.
I don't really believe in Buhari's sentimental statement. They were just mere narrative. Buhari was even courageous enough to say this is the result, I publish it. So I don't believe in Buhari. I believe in the apology tender by Babangida that yes, Abiola won the election.
Yes, Buhari said it, Babangida also said it.
Yes, but Buhari said it better. Babangida said it better than Buhari. Mr. Senate President, I want to say before I take my seat that I don't.
You have 1 second remaining.
Yes. I don't like anybody in the Senate, with due respect, to put words into my mouth, because I'm somebody who doesn't believe in Buhari. So whatever Buhari does is completely not believed by me. So finally, I want to say and advise the Senate that the converging complexity cannot be resolved in one sitting of the Senate. Nothing, absolutely nothing, should be named after anybody, not even INEC as an institution. I so rest my case. Thank you very much.
Senator Patrick Ndube.
I'm involved to know what happened and have the history. And I will tell you, but for those don't go to being young. Maybe I'm elder to some people on this issue. For those who are saying he didn't announce the results, he was under military dictatorship. I'm coming. Now, when you are given a signal not to announce results, not to release the results, and he quickly released all the results within his reach immediately. That one. And because of that, they foresaw his courage going ahead to announce the result and sent to whisk him off. Now, where do you expect him to announce the result? Is it when he is already in the hands of the military? Was there any television there or radio station where he would take to announce the results? 2, somebody has acknowledged that he annulled the June 12th election. How else do you want? Again, if not that he released such results, how would you have known that that Abiola won the election? Another side of it, who asked Abiola to come and take over and hand over to him? Again, the vice presidential candidate left the mandate to go and accept ministerial appointment under the military. But he was recognized. Last year we were there in a colloquium and he was recognized. I want to say, it is good that we put primordial sentiments apart. Recognize, look, Humphrey Nwosu gave us the best method of conducting election in this country. That if we follow suit, we will not have issues. Humphrey Nwosu is a master in electoral issues. I cannot see the reason that someone will wake up to say, oh, he annulled result. How? The person who annulled the result has accepted and apologized. And we accept the apology of this, our general, our former president. Why are we going back to heap it on a person, a saint, somebody who should call a saint on electoral matters in Nigeria, somebody who conducted the best election in this country that have been adjudged, no election that have been conducted that can equal what he did. It is, I am saying, please, we should give honor to whom honor is due.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a problem. Karim.
This special recognition. I want to start on this note. Conscience is an open wound, and only the truth can heal it. Let it be on record. I read the motion from Senator Abaribe, the man I respect so much, landlord, and I also listened vehemently to the sentiments provided by Senator Victor Ume. And I will say this to you, sir. Mr. President, I have attended a lot of courses in the business school and management schools. And I know there's a difference between effort and result. Mr. President, nobody rewards efforts. What people reward is result. Today, Mr. President, I'm being called Senator Cyril Fashui. And this is my 4th time attempting to come to this red chamber. And that is the only time I am being called a senator. We thank God for everything that Professor Humphrey Nwosu did. But there's something lacking. The result was not there. Everything that anybody have said here is about the effort. Sir, we have seen a lot of national infrastructures being named after individuals. I know the one of the police, which is the Kumasi. I know the one of customs, which is for Duke. And I know institutions, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe. There is nobody who will argue
against the naming of these national infrastructures to these national icons. Mr. President, Professor Humphrey Nwosu only made effort as long as he did not announce the result, whether you are under duress or you are under anything. It cannot be called. It cannot. That election cannot be said that he has conducted a successful election. In view of this, sir, I want to say vehemently that I, Senator Cyril Fashion, representing the good and decent people of Ekiti North.
Let's allocate just 1.5 minutes so that we can quickly do away with this. I want to be as fair as possible. Sir, you speak, but let me allow Senator Akobundo to speak. You speak later. Akobundo, you have the floor. From Abia State.
Today, we are discussing a man, in my opinion, and in the opinions of so many Nigerians, who did so much to bring the current democracy to fruition. I was in service, and I know a whole lot about the doggedness, the courage that Humphrey Nwosu declared up to the point he was stopped from continuing with the results. To stay here and not acknowledge that Humphrey was a fighter who stood his ground against the military leadership to ensure that democracy was enthroned is most uncharitable. Some of the things I would have said have been taken by my colleagues, so I want to join those who believe that Humphrey Nwosu did a great job to enthrone democracy in ensuring that his name is immortalized. And recently, certain actions in the country have thrown up the role he played in positive light. Recently, the former president, Ibrahim Babangida, owned up to his mistakes. If Humphrey Nwosu did not conduct a credible election, how would Abiola's election be validated? So it was a validation. And it's very uncharitable for Senator Oshiomole to say that while he was alive, he didn't do anything. Let me bring it out that Humphrey Nwosu published a book where he detailed all that happened, including the results that validated Abiola's election. So I join my colleagues, those who agree, to state that Humphrey Nwosu remains a great man in our hearts and that he should be given his rightful place in the Hall of Honor in this country. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
I represent the people of Kogi State. There is this fact. In whatsoever we do, one day we are going to live here, we are going to leave the world, and we are going to be remembered by what we have done. If you do well, posterity will remember you for good. We are now judging or talking about Humphrey Nwosu. He has finished his course. Now it is left for his creator to judge him. Yes, he was here. He did his best. He conducted an election. He tried his best midway. Everything was truncated. And he was not courageous enough to speak out. There are others after him that also worked in INEC and did a lot of work there. One thing we cannot take away from Humphrey Nwosu is that he tried his best. But we need to be careful. It is the responsibility of the executive to name any structure after anybody. It is also the responsibility of the executive to give national awards
to whomsoever they feel is deserving of it. And we know our president now. He was a factor, and he was part of those that struggled for the actualization of June 12. He worked hard for it. He worked hard for it. President Obasanjo was there as president for 8 years. He did not name anything after Nwosu. Nothing was mentioned about him. Even Yaradua was there. President Goodluck Jonathan was there. After Goodluck Jonathan, Buhari was there for 8 years. And now that Nwosu is gone, you want President Tinubu to name structures after Nwosu. It will not happen. It will not happen. Tinubu will not do that. So we don't need to force him to do anything like that. So let's just limit ourselves with what we can manage here. We rise up, say a 1 minute silence for him. That is over. That is over. Let's not go beyond what we can control. That is what I will say here. Thank you.
Colleagues, I think we are using too much emotions and not much of the facts of the case. I call myself a victim of June 12th, precisely because I contested for the Secretary Generalship of the SDP in 1993, and we lost the election to Sule Lamido, who was the former governor of Jigawa State. After that, we had a lot of trouble selecting the vice presidential candidate. I was in the Kingibe faction, and we were able to defeat Atiku Abubakar to get Abiola to name Kingibe as the vice president in order to have a seamless election. We went through that process, and we knew we won the election. It was annulled. Everybody knew what happened, or what happens under the military. To accuse this late gentleman of not allowing the election, not announcing the election, I think is very, very ahistorical and uncharitable. Mr. President, even under duress, he was not even to have conducted the election in the first place. But he went ahead and conducted it against the military who appointed him. After the election results started coming out, and it was aware that Abiola won the election, Nwosu asked his Director of Legal Services, Malam Abaribe, who is still alive, he's my junior brother, to go to court. Buhari went to court, and he won in the court in the Federal High Court. The appeal, he went to the Court of Appeal. Like my statesman from Anambra, Senator Ume, said, they were afraid that the Court of Appeal is going to give INEC a favorable response. The military came and annulled that election and disbanded INEC. And at that time, my junior brother Abaribe lost his job also, together with Nwosu. Now, how come, with this historical narrative, some of us are alive, we are participants in that process. There are some people here who are talking, who have never been part of the process. And then you are coming out painting certain historical narratives which are wrong. Please, let's honor ourselves and uphold what is right and do the right thing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, this issue has generated a lot of interest, not just because of the personality involved. It is because INEC, being a very critical institution in the promotion, advancement of democracy, would naturally attract attention, either for good or bad. I want us to situate our debate in the context of national service and intellectual excellence. which Professor Henry Nwosu is supposed to exemplify. Nwosu was a professor of political science, someone who by training was supposed to deliver excellent election to Nigeria. Humphrey Nwosu was also appointed for national service. From these two backgrounds, he did not achieve any of them. They say to whom much is given, much is expected. A professor of political science heading INEC could not deliver result. That is how you can assess him. It doesn't matter whether the circumstances were positive or not. If it were not positive for him to do so, he would have resigned. He didn't resign, which means he stood out to do the job. So on that score, he did not succeed. Now, national service. When you are called to serve the country, what you are supposed to do is to go to every extent to defend and deliver your mandate. As far as we are concerned, this gentleman did not conduct himself properly enough to deserve any national recognition at this moment. He did not deliver.
Thank you. My colleagues, you see, we have a lot.
Because you have called me, something must be wrong.
Show your name, it's an oversight.
Yeah, Mr. President, my name is Oshiomole. I represent Imo West. I just want to draw the attention of the Secretariat to the fact that I'm one of the sponsors of this motion, and they wrote Imo North for me. It should be Imo West, not Imo North.
Secretariat, please take note.
Now, Mr.
The sponsor, that stands corrected.
Mr. President, it is important that we do not sit here to distort history. We are legislators, and we are representing the people. Take a census of Nigerians and ask them what they think about Professor Humphrey Nwosu. They will tell you he was a hero. So for us to sit here now and begin to distort history is not fair for our democracy. It's not even good for the country. Mr. President, I want to draw your attention to what happened on June 10. We're talking about June 12. Justice Ibeme, as early as 9:30 on June 10th, said there will be no election. And Professor Humphrey Nwosu tried to reach the head of state. He couldn't reach him. He couldn't reach the Attorney General. And there was an emergency meeting of National Defense and Security Council, which Professor Humphrey Nwosu audaciously attended uninvited, and told them that the materials have been sent out and that he was ready for the election. Uninvited in the military council, he went there. That is courage of the highest order. And it was after he spoke that President Abaribe have no choice than to ask him to conduct the election. Mr. President, we have human beings who are alive. Today, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the immediate past SDF, and late Mohamed Waziri, we are the SDP returning agents at the Collection Center. Yesterday, when this matter broke up, I had to call Boss Mustafa. I had to call him. I said, Boss Mustafa, what happened at the Collection Center? And he narrated to me how courageous Humphrey Nwosu was. And said, without Humphrey Nwosu's courage, you can't even talk about election. In fact, Abaribe, who was INEC legal director, was the one that was running in between Humphrey Nwosu and the NDSC. And Abaribe is still alive. He will testify to you how courageous Humphrey Nwosu was in that exercise. Mr. President, Senator...
Thank you. You have 1 second remaining. I gave you more time.
Yes, please.
Your protest because you protested.
Yes,
so,
please.
So Senator, your time is off. 1 second.
No, Adam Oshiomole wanted to distort history. I won't let him do that. Humphrey Nwosu, in his book titled Laying the Foundation for Nigerian Democracy, Laying the Foundation for Nigerian Democracy, my account of June 12th.
Thank you. Your time is off.
The entire result.
Also, Shuaib Afolabi, ahead.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a few months ago, this hallowed chamber celebrated the late Dr. Ogbonaya Onu. It was unanimous. On that occasion, I stood up and I spoke not just as a senator, I spoke as the secretary of Southwest Senators Caucus. And in fact, we regarded Ogbonaya Onu as somebody from Southwest. There was no controversy. There will be other eminent Nigerians that were brought here. We celebrated them in less than 5 minutes. There was no controversy. Today, I speak as a senator representing the memory of M.K. Abiola. And that we are even discussing this brings back the pain of the loss of an illustrious Nigerian from Ogun Central Senatorial District. To attempt to immortalize or honor anyone who was involved with the annulment of June 12th that led to the death of M.K. Abiola is to undermine the insufficient recognition that will be given to him. It is indeed to also set a very bad precedent and to also make it very clear. If Humphrey Nwosu were to come from Ogun Central, if indeed it was to come from Abeokuta, anyone who participated in the June 12 debacle, regardless of the part of the country, including Abeokuta, I will stand up to speak against such a person. And you also know that even people from Southwest who were accomplices in the June 12 saga, they have not been forgiven tomorrow. If any of them was brought here, I will speak against him. Therefore, this debate is unnecessary. This debate is trying to rewrite history, and we are sending to the people, to the younger people, that you can be celebrated if your courage failed you. You can be celebrated if you do common things uncommonly bad. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the very best you can do, maybe just 1 minute honor, but to attempt to do anything further would be to rubbish the memory of M.K. Abiola and to add insult to the injury.
Thank you, Senator Orwell.
A great historical event. One thing we must not allow to come in is sentiment. I'm not from the southeast. I'm not from the southwest. I'm a Nigerian. Humphrey Nwosu was a Nigerian. And at the time he worked, Nigeria was a very complex society, managed by very reckless, very ambitious, very dangerous military leaders. We knew all of them. They shot so many of their mates for no reason. And I'm sure shooting a civilian would be an ordinary event. We knew what happened at that point in time. I am not after getting him named, anything named after, against his name, or giving him a national honor. That is left for the government of the day. But that history must not be distorted. We have kids here, okay, they are gone, and they are listening, and they take this away. This is one of the highest, the most respected institutions in Nigeria, and so when we want to put facts, we put facts down for others to use. Humphrey Nwosu, to the best of my knowledge and from the functions it performed, is a hero. Now, he established what we are mimicking today. The very INEC we are trying to fine-tune. He laid the foundation.
No, he did NEC. NEC, not INEC. NEC.
They are the same thing. It's a change of name. Change of name. Please, I did talk, Professor of War, I listen to you. You listen to me. Now, listen to me, and you will listen to me. You will listen to me. Now,
Hey, order!
listen the time. I will take my time.
Order, please. It was a mistake, and we get that corrected for him. It was NEC, not INEC. It's just a mere correction.
Yes.
So, and it's human. All right, continue.
Yes.
But you have 1 second. You have.
So, sorry, I'll appeal for 2 more seconds because of the disturbance.
No, you have 1 second.
There were elections conducted at that period, not just presidential election. They were successful. Don't forget, he conducted local government elections. They were successful. State elections
House of Assembly, Reps, and Senate. They were all successful. Governorship. When it was time for presidential election, we knew the interplay of forces. And
You have 1 second remaining, 1 second.
Well, I want to say that we should be honest and we should be fair to people. Humphrey Nwosu is a hero. Nobody could have done better than he did at the point he performed. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen. Generally, most of all the people that are talking about Nwosu, most of them did not know much. As at that time, they were very young. Some were still in the university. Now they are here. The elder says, don't judge the dead. Leave him for his creator. Nwosu was a bloody civilian during Babangida's time. Colonel Kobu, who were in uniform there. My problem is that when it comes to civilian, we want to applaud our people. We have a lot of problems. Right here, one of the generals, and so many, we have celebrated them, that truncated this democracy. Nwosu has done his best. He has gone. The naming of this and that in his name depends on the executive. You can recommend. If the president wants, he will give him. If the president wants national honor, you can give him the best. Because at that time,
Thank you, Father Ozi.
well, we don't want all these things to
Thank you. Now, please, we have to, because the deputy leader has come here to advise me.
Our personal biases, our personal sentiments, and our party affiliations to influence what we are doing here. So far I'm concerned, during the June 12 presidential election, I was a presiding officer. And yes, I just came out from secondary school. I was the presiding officer in that election. That election has been adjudged up to today the freest and fairest election in the history of Nigeria. Mr. President, any Nigerian that googles internet, which election is the freest and fairest election in Nigeria, is the June 12 presidential election. Professor Humphrey Nwosu, a professor of political science from the prestigious University of Nigeria, a civil servant, before he was appointed in 1989, did his best, despite the pressure from Babangida government, despite the court order, Mr. President, allow me, despite the court order by Justice Ibeme that stopped the election, despite all the threats from the military cabal, the man still went ahead to conduct the freest and fairest election. Was it Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made Justice Saleh from Katangum Emirate from Bauchi to annul the election? Was it Justice Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made the military cabal to throw Nigeria into confusion? It is highly unfair. One of my colleagues mentioned about the honor.
How was it going to remain, my brother?
Is it because he belongs to a particular political party? Let us not distort facts. It's very disappointing that some of us should be distorting facts just because Professor Humphrey Nwosu is an Igbo man.
Thank you very much.
Allow this motion to speak.
Thank you, sir.
Arrest my case.
Thank you. Please, order, please.
The issue here is not whether we name the content of INEC in memory of Nwosu. The critical issue here is the honor that Nigeria owes this great man. And one of those who is, I'm very passionate about June 12th, very passionate, because I believe that has been one fabric that has challenged our sensibilities as a country. So the central issue here is not naming of the edifice. The central issue here is the honor, because if Nwosu is not celebrated, who must we celebrate? Is it Abaribe or the judge who gave that judgment? I am of the opinion that outside whatever might be named after him, which of course is outside our past as it were, we can at best recommend. But the central issue is that this man showed courage when that was necessary. He had all the opportunity.
You have 1 second. Your time is off. So that's why you have the floor. Then Senator Solomon.
So I think we can.
Your time is off. Your time is off.
By naming that edifice after.
Thank you, Mr. Distinguished colleagues. I am indeed very worried that the achievements of Professor Humphrey Nwosu is being subjected to such fierce debate. There's no doubt, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that Professor Humphrey Nwosu is an architect of the freedom we enjoy today as a nation. Humphrey Nwosu
He has the floor. Allow him to say his mind.
No doubt is the protected of the June 12th election. And there's no doubt that he introduced something that was very novel to us, the option A4, and conducted an election, adjourned the freest election that we
have 1 second remaining. 1 second.
Had. Mr. President, I want to warn or advise that this Senate should not resort to scapegoatism, to say this is the person that caused this is the person that did not do this. Let us look at things objectively.
Thank you, Senator Solomon. You have the floor.
He played the
why your time is off.
And I want to say he was not just.
How many minutes, sir?
So, University have the floor.
At the University of Nigeria. Let me round up, Mr. President.
Your time is off.
Because I don't want us to pin Professor Nwosu to just the INEC job he did. He was an erudite professor.
Thank you. Your time is off, Senator Ezenwa. Solomon,
representing Ogun West Senatorial District. Mr. President, this is one issue that...
Look, let me say this for him. You say, where were you? His junior brother died. His junior brother was killed during the June 12th saga.
Sir, let me make my submission that I can tell you where I was when it happened.
He's protected. Allow him to speak. He's protected.
He's from NLC. That's why he's speaking like that. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, this is one issue I have tried as much as possible to avoid. Yesterday, when my brother, Senator Abaribe, brought this matter up, I took up and said, no, I will not allow this to happen. Because he's about to remind me a very sad memory. And I'm speaking not along party line or ethnic or whatsoever, as I've watched and listened to the contribution thus far. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, as a result of the action and inaction of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, I lost my immediate junior brother. He died right behind me for him refusing to do or carry out his duty as INEC chairman. Mr. President, many of my colleagues have stood up here and said he conducted the free and fairest election. There are three different meanings and three different interpretations that we should look at: conducting election, releasing results, and announcing results. Yes, he conducted the election. Yes, School of Thought said he releases all the results. But you and I know releasing results is not the same thing as announcing results. He failed at the critical moment when he's supposed to salvage this democracy. Today we celebrate Abiola or those people who have contributed to the success story of June 12 because they laid their life, they put their life on the line. If he is coward to withdraw in doing what is right at the critical moment, I think my brothers here should be fair enough.
We are not saying you should not bring his matter up. And as my colleague have said, everybody that we have put before us that should be honored, we have celebrated them here. And don't forget, this is the highest law-making body of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where we should see ourselves as one and one Nigeria. Professor Nwosu, with due respect to him, because it's now late, does not deserve to be immortalized as one of the very few Nigerians that have done the right thing. And I want to plead with my colleague. As I've said, I'm not speaking along the ethnicity line, along the party line, but I'm speaking as Nigeria, who witnessed the horrific bombing.
Thank you. Once again,
of Professor Nwosu to carry out his assignment at the most critical hour.
Now let's go to prayers. To immortalize him by naming the INEC headquarters in Abuja after him. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Further urges the federal government to posthumously honor him with national honors. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Extend condolences to his family and recognize their sacrifice in support of his work towards a better Nigeria. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. So, hello, sorry. Order! Order! Please, can somebody order?